Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. In my last video, I discussed about the unification of Germany, where I discussed about the supportive and hindering factors for the unification, and I discussed about the role of Bismarck. In this video, I am going to discuss about the First World War, its causes and some of its consequences. So what are we waiting for? Let's discuss about the First World War. First World War. It started on 28 July 1914 and ended on 11 November 1918. It was a global conflict between two coalitions, the Allies and the Central Power. Fighting took place mainly in Europe and Middle East. It was one of the deadliest conflicts in history, resulting in an estimate of 9 million dead and 23 million wounded, plus up to 8 million civilian deaths from caused including genocide. Even it leads to Spanish flu pandemic. Now let us understand what were the causes of the First World War. The very first cause was the grouping of European countries. After the Treaty of Frankfurt, the core policy of Germany was to isolate France because Bismarck was confident that if France will get alliance, then it will hit back. Therefore, Bismarck created an alliance with Austria and Italy. So, in this alliance, there were three countries: Austria, Italy, and Germany. This was called Triple Alliance. But after 1890, Bismarck stepped down as the Chancellor of Germany. Thereafter, German diplomacy had collapsed. After 1890, England returned back from grand isolation. In European politics, France and England formed an alliance, and due to Balkan Issue, Russia also joined this alliance, and this was known as Triple Entente. So totally there were two groups. First was Triple Alliance and the second was Triple Entente. The Triple Alliance was composed of Austria, Italy and Germany, and Triple Entente was formation of group in England, France and Russia. Therefore, the grouping of European states and their conflict of interest resulted in the First World War. Next and the important reason is imperialism and colonialism. England and France had already established colonial control at many places. Therefore, newly raised countries like Germany and Italy also started looking for colonies. German King William had announced in the parliament that Germany also needed colony and anywhere under the sky. He also discussed his ambitious plan to construct Berlin-Baghdad rail route. So Germany wanted to enter in Central Asia and Italy was trying to enter in Africa. Even Italy demanded Ethiopia. Therefore, the colonial competition had increased, resulted in First World War. Third is the important role of newspaper. Newspapers were highly provocative. It had published many reports which presented the conflicting boundaries. Therefore, middle class also got provoked, and it leads to First World War. Next is the viewpoints of Marxist historians. According to Marxist historian, this war was conspiracy of capitalists and industrialists. They had war-related industries, and therefore in order to sell the weapons, they started conspiracy to develop the scenario of war. Next is the lack of international organization. After the Vienna Congress, there were no international organization established to discuss the global problem. Therefore, the whole Europe reached to the level of conspiracy and conflict. Next and the most important issue is the Balkan Issue. Balkan Issue. Now we should understand what is Balkan region. Balkan region is comprised of modern day countries like Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Albania, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Slovenia, Serbia and Montenegro. The issue of Balkans is of the major reason for First World War, because the German-Austria alliance wanted eastward expansion. Therefore, Austria captured Bosnia, which was a part of Balkan. But Serbia, also with the support of Russia, claimed Bosnia. Now, therefore, Balkan problem forced Russia to join the Triple Entente. Now, the Russia is also part of England and France group. Now, these Balkan parts are also need to have freedom. They were under the control of Ottoman Empire. They wanted the political rights also. Even Balkans wanted to capture more territories. It leads to the power rivalry. Now, these were the causes of the First World War. Next is the very immediate factor of the First World War. In 1914, Prince Ferdinand of Austria went to Bosnia, city of Sarajevo, to conduct annual trials of 15th and 16th armies, where a furious revolutionary Gavrilo murdered him along with his wife. Gavrilo was from the Black Hand Society. Now, due to which Austria charged Serbia for plotting the murder of Prince Ferdinand. So Austria invaded over Serbia and they started war in which other parties also got involved. Now, therefore, it was said rightly that First World War was war between two horses, in which horsemen entered later. Now, the war continued from 1914 to 1918. During the course of war, there are certain incidents which had huge impact on entire progress of war. The first one was that the Italy deserted the alliance. As I have mentioned before, Italy was a part of alliance where Germany and Austria was in that group, and he deserted and joined the other part, which was a part of the Central Power, where it, or we can say the Entente group. Here England, France, Russia was already in the part, and now Italy also joined them. Now this is known as London Agreement. There were many secret treaties under this, like first was the entry of Italy in Africa. Second, all the German colonies should be handed over to Italy. And third, Italy will get port in Albania. In 1917, there were two major incidents. First, Russian Revolution, in which rule of Tsar had ended and Lenin became the president of Russia. It was first communist government in the world. Lenin pulled Russia out of the war. Next is, in this year, America entered the war, mainly because of three factors. First, most of the Anglican Americans pressurized the American government to help England. Secondly, France greatly helped Americans in American War of Independence. So, America was indebted by the French help. Therefore, America came forward to help France. Third and the most provocative reason was a passenger ship Lusitania with English flag was drowned by Germans in Atlantic. So America entered in the war to take revenge over Germany. In 1918, there was revolution in Germany. Monarchy was replaced by republican government, and this government decided to surrender. So the war ended with massive defeat of Germany. So how this war ended? Now we have to understand the consequences of the First World War. The war ended with the declaration of ceasefire on 11th November 1918 after the surrender of Germany. After this, the blood-soaked humanity was ready to assess the value of great destruction of about 4.5 years. Before the First World War, there were only 3 countries which had republican government. These were Portugal, Switzerland and France. But after the war, there was wave against the monarchy. Monarchy was eliminated in many countries, and led to the rise of democratic and republican government in the world. Before First World War, there were three big empires in Europe: Habsburg Empire in Austria, Great German Empire, and Ottoman Empire of Turk. But after the war, these empires were dissolved, and there were rise of many new countries like Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, Yugoslavia, and Czechoslovakia. Next is the economic consequences. Due to the damage of factories, production decreased. There was huge shortage of consumer goods. Now Japan, Brazil, and India emerged as biggest supplier of consumer goods in Europe. Industrialization of these countries had increased, but the trade declined. Therefore, many European nations were indebted because of the war. About 10 trillion rupees were directly spent in this war. New currencies were printed to pay off the debts, which resulted in huge inflation. Now, the Great Economic Depression of 1929 was the result of the First World War. Next is the social consequences. About 8 million soldiers were killed in this war, and 2 crore were seriously injured. Due to the lack of proper arrangement for last rites of these soldiers, it resulted in increase in the infectious disease. There was problem of refugee and homeless. It further created communal violence in many countries. There was problem in demography of Europe as number of women had increased compared to men. They had the opportunity to replace the male working population. So the scope of women had increased, and this gave a boost to feminist movement. In this sequence, women also got the right to vote. The feeling of racial discrimination had also weakened. In this war, white and black soldiers were fighting all together. The war also played the role of motivator in the field of science and research. On one hand, when new means of war like chemical gas etc. were developed, and even the fighter aircrafts etc. were also developed. Later use of these started in civil services also. By this we have understood about the First World War and its consequences. I am concluding this video here. If you like my video, kindly like, share and subscribe. Thank you.